See how my hair is doing? Using like a chic oil, so. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to Real Estate Informed, the channel that keeps you up to date on all things real estate. Today I'm going to talk about an article. I got it pulled up right here, and it talks about San Francisco rents and how they're decreasing. So let's get into this. So the article's title is SFC's Unprecedented Drop in Rent Prices. So the article goes on to say that Zumper, which is one of the rental websites, has been tracking data since 2015. And so the latest figures says that they're seeing unprecedented price drops, and the Zumper report reports that one-bedroom rents in San Francisco fell 9.2%, which leads the nation. Our current rents, look at the rents on a one-bedroom here. So current rents are $3,360 compared to last year where it was $3,700. So still pretty high. Either which way you put it is still very high, but 9.2%, the fact that they're dropping is big enough. You know, I understand that a lot of people, cannot evict. There's no evictions. There's mortgage forbearance for a lot of landlords. So I think landlords are, fighting a fight already. But the fact that, how does that affect new renters, as in like property that's just coming on the market as rentals, and they're just not renting, so they have to reduce the price. Okay, so Zumper is saying all these 9.4% decrease in San Francisco. Let me give you my personal opinion of why I think that the rent is decreasing, and why I think that I don't think it'll stay for that long, but I do think that there's issues that must follow in the future. First thing I want to do is, I live in the Seattle area, so if you live in a major city, watch what New York, watch what San Francisco, and watch what LA do. Because these cities are pretty much like the precedent. They are extreme, like rents for a one bedroom is $3,700, now they're $3,300. Obviously, if you live in Montana, Missouri, Ohio, your rents are going to be much lower. But basically what happens in San Francisco will once hit your city too. It happened with Seattle, where rents were $3,000 in San Francisco, and we were just in 2014, 15, and we were like, wow, that's a lot for a one bedroom. And I was sitting in Seattle, one bedroom, $1,500. And then boom, 2016, 17, 18 hit. And now when 2020, we're looking at $2,500 for a one bedroom in downtown Seattle. So whatever happens in San Francisco tends to happen in Seattle. Same with the housing. When real estate went just berserk in 2014 and 15 in San Francisco, Seattle was still on the rise. Seattle still wasn't where it is now. Now Seattle's leading the nation in housing. And so I think what happens in San Francisco, because it's like the tech hub, it kind of travels down to LA, San Diego, but it starts in San Francisco. So this article is very, very important because it's saying that there's rent reductions in San Francisco, which means that it could come to your city also. Second thing I want to mention is that this is, we're in a pandemic, so these numbers can fluctuate. These numbers, they might reduce for the next 3 or 4 months, and then the rents will start climbing again in San Francisco. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe that to be the case. I believe that we are facing, San Francisco and future cities in the U.S. are facing is what you call a correction. Rents were skyrocketing. They were way too high. Home prices were way too high, and now we're going to begin the correction back into what the values really should be versus multiple bid opportunities, this and that, and rising rents just because of rising home values. When a landlord buys a property back in 1990, he's got a certain amount of rents that he has, and so he can keep his rents low. But when someone else buys that property for $2-3 million, he must raise the rents, and that's how rents climb as housing prices climb. They're kind of hand in hand. So what can we learn from this article? This article is saying that the rents are going down 9.2% in San Francisco. First thing is that it can come to a city near you. Whatever happens in San Francisco mostly can happen throughout the rest of the nation. They're kind of like the leading hub of real estate and rent because it's a tech hub. One of the reasons they're faltering is because tech companies like Google and Facebook have told their employees, and this is known and common, I've read other articles about this, that they're sending their employees notices and memos saying that, for the rest of the year, you could work from home. So most of these employees who are from the Midwest or from, wherever, they're just moving right back. And they figure that if they're saying it for the rest of the year, it might be longer. And, especially with this pandemic, with the cases we're lowering, now that the U.S. is opening back up, the cases are rising again. So we might go back into another shutdown. So most of the people are just moving out of San Francisco because they're realizing that, why should we pay $3,300 rent, when we could move to, Nevada, Las Vegas, Reno, places nearby that you're not too far, but at the same time, you could pay $1,500 of rent for one bedroom, and so that or less. And so when you factor that in, and you can move to a state that's no state income tax. So if you have a tech hub or you're working out of San Francisco, obviously you'll get taxed. But if you have a spouse who can work locally, if you move to Nevada or whatnot, no state income tax. Or move to Texas, there's no state income tax. So there's always a benefit there. There's always a tax benefit there. And I think people look for that because California, have it be what it is, has a tremendous amount of taxes. It's almost like close to 50% of your check is cut straight to federal tax, state tax. They got a bunch of other state and local taxes that they charge people. So that's why, I feel like there's a shift out. So now when in San Francisco, when they put a property up for rent, you're not getting as many potential tenants as possible because the market is just not there. There's just not enough, people that believe in the long term, of like, hey, I need to be in the city. And that's another thing is like people also feel that like if they're going to be locked down and, cases are coming back and they're going to be locked down in their house, why be in a one bedroom? Why can't you go out to suburbia, 45 minutes out, 50 minutes out outside of San Francisco and live in a 4-bedroom, 3-bath with a huge backyard? People think about that, and a mortgage on a property like that, like obviously $3,300 in San Francisco is acceptable because properties there in San Francisco or around the surrounding areas, 10 minutes out of San Francisco, sell for in the millions. So you're not going to get a mortgage for $3,300. But if you go about 35 to 45 minutes outside of the city, you can get a mortgage for 35, between $3,000 and $4,000. So that's why I think a lot of people are shifting out, and the San Francisco area itself is getting a 9.2% decrease. And so just look out for your cities, Seattle, LA, San Diego, whatever metropolitan is closest to you. You'll start to see the same things. There'll be a correction. Even in cities where, the rents used to be, $1,200, but now they're $1,600 or $1,700 because tech moved into the companies, there'll be a correction where it goes back down to about $1,500, $1,400, where that's where the correction really should be. That's where rental prices naturally should be without the tech companies there. Very interesting quote in this article that I really want to point out, which I thought was really good, was it was from Kim May Cutler. She is... she's a capital and vocal housing advocate. She said, I definitely see a lot of movement right now because it doesn't make sense to be in a closed down city through the summer. But once things open up or the pandemic passes in 1 to 3 years, there will be a lot of good deals / prices, possible energy to come back. So that is very interesting. So not just for rental prices, but also for real estate prices. People are moving out, and look at the timeline she gave, 1 to 3 years. And it's true. I fully agree with her. I think that she's correct in her, assessment of it, as in that when prices go down, people move out of the city. It can take, San Francisco is always going to be San Francisco. I'm just saying that there's going to be a correction. I don't see prices going down to $1,500, but I do believe that there will be a correction, and that correction is definitely happening in the rental market, and it will definitely happen in the real estate market in San Francisco. You'll start to see houses go up for the market. Not a lot of buyers, because if there's not renters wanting to rent, that goes the same for buyers also. So if there's not enough buyers, you'll see price reductions, 50,000, 100,000 in the San Francisco area. But you guys have to understand, patience. It will take time. It will take, like she said, 1 to 3 years for people to come back. But I think it'll take probably a year for prices to really show the correction. And you can see it in the rental market now. It's showing immediately, while in real estate sales, it'll show 6 months, a year down from the line. And one last note I really want to put out there is that the stimulus package, updates that all these people are doing videos on, Meet Kevin and all these other YouTubers are doing, which I think are Graham Stephan, I think is great. But head over to their channels and stay updated on the stimulus packages, because right now, from what I understand, is that there's not going to be one until August. The Senate is on recess till July 19. They're not going to agree on something, and the earliest possible date is like August. So depending on that, do they extend mortgage forbearance? Do they extend the no eviction? Every state is different. In Seattle, they extended the no evictions till August 1st. It was April, then it was June 4th. Now it's August 1st, and they might extend it again. So keep an eye on the evictions. Keep an eye on the mortgage forbearance in your state, and this the People's Act that they're going to pass. Are they going to pass mortgage forbearance for another year? Because if they do, then I don't see prices going down. So you really have to like judge and look at those, and then you can kind of see like, okay, what is the government doing to keep, because the government's trying to keep everything afloat. It's trying to keep everything afloat. And basically, mortgage rates, we're trying to keep it afloat because we're trying to keep mortgage rates low. Why are we trying to keep it low? Because if we raise mortgage rates even 1%, it'll be a wrap, because it makes real estate extremely affordable at that rate, especially at the prices that they are now. We're talking in Seattle area, the average price is like $750,000 for a house. So keep an eye on that stimulus package, watch those videos, and understand the eviction laws in your state, because that will depend. Because once evictions start, you're gonna once they put that little memorandum down on evictions, you're gonna see a flood of evictions, flood of landlords trying to evict the tenants if tenants aren't moving. Evictions cost a lot of money, so landlords are already suffering because people aren't paying them, and then they have to spend extra money on lawyers to evict them. It's just going to be a bloodbath. And so keep an eye out on all these different, criteria that are going on at the exact same time, because it's basically building up to be a perfect storm. All right, guys, that's my video for today. If you like it, please thumbs it up. It really, really helps me. And subscribe. And please leave your questions on the comments below, and I'll answer them on my next video. All right, thanks, guys. Stay blessed.